So we did some videos on resisting the effects of chemtrails and EMF, and went over some common principles that apply to both of those things. So it was the idea that if they're spraying, which for some reason today they're not spraying here, which is really nice. You see, there still is a blue sky behind all the chemtrail residue, but anyway, don't want to get diverted. What I was trying to say is that if they're spraying heavily, you do not have to feel sick. You don't have to get chemtrail flu. You don't have to be depressed with joint pains and all that kind of stuff. There are ways to resist it. At least as of now, they haven't turned it up strong enough to where it's beyond what we can resist. So we talked about that, and we talked about the effects of EMF fields, microwave radiation, and the same thing applies there. Yeah, it is horrible. It should never be done, but we have incredible immune systems, resistance, that if you know how to work with those and to activate them, you don't have to feel terrible around EMF fields. Yours is potentially stronger than the junk fields they're generating, even though you're never supposed to find that out. Absolutely forbidden information. And so once you start absorbing that understanding that you have the ability to overcome these assaults, if you learn some laws of nature and how to work with them, then people sometimes ask, what other diseases might this work on? And it reminds me, Dr. Robert Morse in Florida was recently on our Sunday guest show, which is every week on Lost Arts Radio. blogtalkradio.com/Lost Arts Radio. You can find all the archives for free if you ever want to listen to some of our educational guests. It's pretty incredible. But Dr. Morse, who's really great and has helped a lot of people heal from extremely severe disease conditions, he doesn't believe in diseases. And why is that? What does that mean? What it means is that he says the same internal healing force that we talk about here all the time is what cures everything, not a doctor. And if it's healing your body, then whatever it has to harmonize and get back to normal, that's what it'll be working on. And if it's not healing you, then something else is blocking it, something that you're doing or something that you're being subjected to. And there's two levels of this. I know about the external environmental forces, like what we mentioned with the chemtrail fallout and EMF fields and all that. That's not our fault exactly, but I'm talking about things that we do that we could upgrade our own habits and become stronger in resisting these things and getting rid of degeneration, degenerative disease, and most of what's called aging. You may have heard of it. That's when you get old and fall apart and can't remember who you are and you look like you died a long time ago. It gets really bad anyway, but that's not normal, fortunately. So there's two things that you can learn about. One is physical mistakes in lifestyle every day, and the other is mind programming that we're running through our minds and thoughts and emotions all the time. Those are not ours. I mean, they kind of belong to us, but they're not who we are. So when we start getting into this delicate stuff, it's a fine line of what I can say publicly. In our country and most of the world right now, most of this kind of information, real information on health, also energy, environmental things, economics, the real information is violently suppressed, especially health, but also energy technologies, which have been free and perfected more than 100 years ago. And sorry, you're not supposed to know about that either. You're supposed to think we're dependent on oil. And no, there's not a shortage of oil. That was a big misunderstanding a while ago with crossing the Rubicon and all that. Probably well-meaning stuff that was put out. It was never true. There's lots of oil, but it's a stupid source of energy, really dirty, and can be used as an excuse for wars and shortages and all kinds of junk. We haven't needed it for a long time. Anyway, the reason I bring that up is real information on health and energy and environment and other things is not allowed to us now. So I want to get this out. I spent more than 50 years putting these dots together and doing a lot of experimental research in what you could do to overcome aging and become immune to diseases, not worry about infectious microorganisms, which are mostly there to hold things in balance, and they only really do their damage when we make mistakes, and we're not taught what those mistakes are, but we need to know. You might have to change a few of your habits, but it's worth it, because you really don't want the other alternative that we're being told is normal, genetic, age-related, any of that junk. It's not. So we did something at Lost Arts Radio to make a safer forum where we could talk about this stuff and share the full amount of information that is available on how to reverse aging and disease and maximize your immunity without toxic drugs or potentially deadly vaccines, which never, oh sorry, I'm not supposed to say that either. They never prevented any diseases, really. If you study their history back to Jenner, 1799 or so in the UK, they were maiming and killing people, mostly kids, from the very beginning. But the public line is they're supposedly protecting us from all these plagues and everything. Anyway, I have this problem where I start saying what I actually want to say, and it's safer for me to do that in this other forum called Planetary Healing Club. We started it in January. It's still running, and it'll be running even if we are not able to be on YouTube. I mean, which I hope won't happen either. I'm going to try to restrain myself on what I say in these videos, but I want to tell you enough to let you know it's not hopeless. You're not doomed to the usual version of aging and disease and all this junk. You can get your mind super clear and your body healthy and feeling great for your whole life. That's how it was designed, and it's made to renew itself all the time. If it's not doing that, it's mostly our lack of knowledge that causes that problem. So if you want to get into that private forum, anybody who wants to is allowed. If you're wanting to really learn more and apply it in your life, go to lostartsradio.com/club and find out about what we're doing on every Saturday night. It's pretty exciting, pretty far out there, because it's the truth. And I just talk freely, and we get much more into these things with less worry about whether it's politically correct or acceptable for you to know about. And the other neat thing about the club environment is it's interactive, meaning a constant chat's going on all during the time. I usually talk for the first hour or so, but after that, up to 2 more hours is Q&A, comments, suggestions, questions, stuff like that. So come and join us if you're up to it, if you're ready to start really getting into this stuff and you want to know what's true no matter what it is, and something useful to apply to your own life to change your experience. That's my interest, is in having you able to use these things that I can't quite talk about in public forum. It's not totally free. It does cost $10 a month or more if you want to support the work we're doing. All of it goes to the nonprofit Research Institute, whose ulterior motive is to start a school. And the people that actually apply this information totally get rid of their health issues and have their life running smoothly. Then the real work starts, and there's consciousness level work that I won't talk about here, but it's very powerful. It's more powerful than cell towers and chemtrails and diseases and New World Order agendas and things like that. And you have the ability to use it. It's just been forgotten and we lost touch. So let's get it back. That's what I really want to do. And so when we get to build our school, my personal desire is to live and work there and run it, keep it on track, get to be right in the front row of sharing this with all the people there, and by electronic means, as long as that's available. But the bottom line of all this stuff is that you are incredible. You're an unlimited being, permanent being, that's got abilities, almost all of which have been forgotten. So the biggest fear of our rulers, that I will say, it's not it's not of some of us becoming, violent or anything like that. They actually are pushing for that. They hope we'll fight as much as possible. But what they're really afraid of is not that. It's that you discover who you are. Because when you do that, not in theory, but in real life experience, it changes everything about what you can do. And at that point, the power that you've got for healing is so much greater than any power of destruction. There's no comparison. So I want us to talk about that. Go to lostartsradio.com/club. We'll work on it. And in the meantime, if you don't want to be in on that, I'll still put up as much as I can on this free YouTube forum as I'm allowed to do, and try to restrain myself from saying everything and getting shut down. So anyway, I just want to tell you a message. Time is passing. You have incredible work to do. When you're ready, let's start.